The letters were hidden in a storage unit in Queens that Mrs. Kim paid for monthly, but hadn't visited in 23 years. She stood in front of Unit 247 at 6 a.m. on a Tuesday, key in hand, and couldn't make herself open the door. Because opening that door meant facing 25 years of what if. 25 years of the life she didn't choose. 25 years of a man named James who played jazz piano in Harlem and made her laugh like breathing was optional. You planning to stand there all day or actually go in? The storage facility manager was watching her from his office window, probably wondering why a woman in a Chanel suit was having a breakdown in front of a 10 by 10 storage space. Mrs. Kim opened the door. The box was exactly where she'd left it in 1998. Small, brown, wrapped in packing tape that had yellowed with age. She sat on the concrete floor in her expensive suit and opened it with shaking hands. 47 letters. She'd counted them once. Never stopped knowing the exact number. Letters James had sent after her parents made her choose. Letters she'd read so many times the ink had faded on some pages. Letters she'd kept because throwing them away felt like killing the only real thing she'd ever had. The last one was dated November 15th, 1998. I'm leaving New York. Going to Chicago. There's a jazz club there that wants me. I waited for you like I promised. Waited for you to change your mind, to choose differently, to show up. You never did. I have to accept that you made your choice. I hope he makes you happy. I hope you never regret it. I hope you never wonder what we could have been. I'll wonder for both of us. Always yours, James. Mrs. Kim had read that letter 3,000 times. Maybe more. Had memorized every word. Every loop of his handwriting. Every smudge where his pen had hesitated. She pulled out her phone. Opened Instagram, something Hannah had taught her to use last year. Searched James Morrison Jazz Chicago. 11 results. 10 were wrong. The 11th made her heart stop. James Morrison, 58, jazz pianist. Playing Thursday nights at the Blue Note in Greenwich Village, New York. He was back. After 25 years, he was back. And she had exactly 4 days to decide if she was brave enough to see him. Mrs. Kim drove to Marcus and Sienna's apartment in Park Slope. Let herself in with the key they'd given her 6 months ago, back when things were still tense but trying. Found Sienna in the kitchen covered in flour, testing something that smelled like heaven. You're here early, Sienna said, looking up surprised. And you look terrified. What's wrong? I found him, Mrs. Kim said. James. He's in New York, playing at the Blue Note on Thursday. Sienna set down her whisk. And I don't know what to do, Mrs. Kim admitted. I'm 56 years old. I gave him up 25 years ago. What if he's married? What if he hates me? What if seeing him destroys the peace I've finally made with my choices? What if it doesn't? Sienna asked gently. What if he's been waiting? What if 25 years doesn't matter? What if you get a second chance? Mrs. Kim sat at the kitchen counter, and for the first time since Marcus married Sienna, she let herself be vulnerable in front of her daughter-in-law. I'm terrified. Good, Sienna said. Marcus was terrified when he married me. I was terrified when I said yes. Terror means it matters. Terror means it's real. What do I do? You show up, Sienna said simply. Thursday night. You walk into that club, and you let him decide if 25 years is too long or exactly on time. Thursday arrived too fast. Mrs. Kim changed outfits 7 times. Settled on simple. Black dress. Pearl earrings. The same perfume she'd worn in 1998. Hannah showed up at 6 p.m. I'm coming with you. Absolutely not, Mrs. Kim said. Mom, you're shaking, Hannah said gently. You need backup. I'll sit at the bar. You won't even know I'm there. But I'm not letting you do this alone. They took a car to Greenwich Village. Stood outside the Blue Note at 7:45 p.m. The show started at 8. I can't do this, Mrs. Kim whispered. Yes, you can, Hannah said. You're the bravest person I know. You built an empire. Raised 2 kids alone after Dad died. Survived losing your first love. You can walk through that door. Mrs. Kim walked through the door. The Blue Note was smaller than she expected. Intimate. Dark wood and low lights and a stage that felt close enough to touch. She took a table in the back. Ordered scotch she wouldn't drink. Waited. At 8:02 p.m., James Morrison walked onto the stage. He was 58 now, gray at the temples, lines around his eyes. Still beautiful. Still the man who'd made her forget how to breathe. He sat at the piano, looked out at the small crowd, and his eyes found hers. He stopped, completely stopped, stared at her like she was a ghost. Mrs. Kim couldn't breathe, couldn't move, could only stare back. James stood up from the piano, walked off the stage, walked straight out the back exit. And Mrs. Kim sat there with her untouched scotch, realizing that some doors close and stay closed. That some chances only come once. That she was 25 years too late. Hannah found her mother in the alley behind the Blue Note, standing in the rain that had started without warning, mascara running, 25 years of regret finally breaking through. "Mom, don't," Mrs. Kim said. "Just don't." But Hannah pulled her mother into her arms anyway, held her while she cried, and didn't say "I told you this was a bad idea," because sometimes love was worth the risk even when it destroyed you. Inside, the club had gone quiet. The manager was apologizing to the crowd. James Morrison had left. Show canceled. Refunds at the door. What Hannah didn't tell her mother was that she'd followed James. Caught him 2 blocks away, standing in the rain like he was trying to wash away the past. "She waited 25 years to find you," Hannah said. James turned, looked at this young woman who had his eyes somehow. "Who are you?" "Hannah Kim. Her daughter. Marcus's sister. And I'm here to tell you that walking away makes you just as much a coward as she was." "You don't know what you're talking about," James said, but his voice cracked. "I know she kept every letter," Hannah said. "I know she never stopped loving you. I know she chose wrong 25 years ago and has spent every single day since regretting it. I know she's terrified right now. I know seeing you walk away just destroyed her. And I know that if you don't give her a chance to explain, you'll regret it just as much as she has. She had 25 years to find me," James said. "She chose now? After I'm finally okay? After I finally stopped waiting. Are you okay?" Hannah challenged. "Really? Because you walked off stage the second you saw her. That's not okay. That's still in love, and still hurt, and still not over it." James closed his eyes. "I can't do this." "Then don't," Hannah said. "Walk away. Prove that love has an expiration date. Prove that some mistakes can't be fixed. Go back to your nice, safe life where you don't have to risk anything. But don't pretend you're not choosing fear over love just like she did 25 years ago." She walked away, left James standing in the rain, went back to collect her mother and take her home. What Hannah didn't see was James pulling out his phone, searching for a name he'd avoided for 25 years. Finding her number through mutual connections that still existed if you looked hard enough. Typing a message at 11 p.m. that he deleted and rewrote 17 times. Finally sending just 4 words, "Coffee. Tomorrow. Harlem." Mrs. Kim saw the message at midnight. Stared at it for 20 minutes. Showed Sienna, who'd waited up despite being exhausted from the bakery. "What do I say?" Mrs. Kim asked. "You say yes," Sienna said. "And then you tell him the truth. All of it. What you felt. What you lost. What you've regretted every single day. You give him the choice you never let him have 25 years ago. The choice to forgive you or not. The choice to try again or walk away. But you give him the choice." Mrs. Kim typed back, "Lennox Coffee. 10 a.m. His response came immediately, "I'll be there." Neither of them slept. The next morning, Mrs. Kim arrived at 9:45 a.m. Ordered tea she wouldn't drink. Sat at a table by the window where she could watch people pass and pretend she wasn't falling apart. James walked in at 9:58 a.m. Saw her. Almost turned around. Didn't. Sat down across from her in the same coffee shop where they'd met 30 years ago when it had a different name and they'd both been different people. "You look the same," James said finally. "Liar," Mrs. Kim said. "But thank you." Silence. Heavy and full of everything unsaid. "I kept the letters," Mrs. Kim said. "All of them. In a storage unit in Queens. I read the last one so many times the ink faded. I'll wonder for both of us. You wrote that, and I thought about it every single day for 25 years. Why now?" James asked. Why not 10 years ago? 15? Why wait until I finally stopped checking every door hoping you'd walk through? Because I was a coward, Mrs. Kim said simply. Because I chose safety over you. Because my parents told me that loving you would destroy my life, and I believed them. Because I married a good man who I learned to love, but never loved the way I loved you. Because I built a life that looked perfect but felt empty. Because I watched my son fall in love with someone unsuitable and almost destroyed them the same way my parents destroyed us, and it broke something in me. Made me realize I'd become the villain in someone else's love story. Made me face what I'd lost. Your son, James said. Marcus, I read about the wedding. About him marrying the waitress. About your family drama playing out in business journals. He chose love, Mrs. Kim said. He chose the thing I was too afraid to choose. And watching him be brave made me realize I'd spent 25 years being a coward. You married someone else, James said, and there was pain in his voice. Had children. Built a life. I don't fit in that life. My husband died 5 years ago, Mrs. Kim said quietly. Cancer. He was a good man. A good father. We built something respectful and stable. But I never gave him all of me because all of me was still yours. He knew. Never said it. But he knew. James closed his eyes. I got married too. Sarah. Met her in Chicago. Lasted 8 years. We had a daughter. Emma. Mrs. Kim's heart stopped. Had. Leukemia, James said, and his voice broke. She was 12. Fought for 3 years. Died in my arms. And you know what I thought about? I thought about how if I'd chosen differently, if I'd moved on instead of settling for someone I liked but didn't love, maybe I would have had different children. Maybe Emma would have lived. Maybe my whole life would have been different. Oh, James, Mrs. Kim breathed. Don't, James said. Don't pity me. Don't tell me it's not my fault. I know it's not. But grief doesn't care about logic. And the truth is I spent 15 years in a marriage that was fine but not great, raising a daughter I loved more than life. And when she died, when Sarah and I fell apart, because grief kills everything it touches, I moved back to New York and started playing piano again and tried to remember what it felt like to be happy. And I almost got there. Almost convinced myself I was okay. And then you walked into the Blue Note and destroyed 20 years of almost okay in 5 seconds. They sat in silence. The coffee shop filled and emptied around them. Morning became afternoon. And finally Mrs. Kim said, I don't expect forgiveness. I don't expect you to want me back. I just needed you to know that letting you go was the worst mistake I ever made. That I thought about you every single day. That I'm sorry. That if I could go back and choose differently, I would. That you deserved better than what I gave you. That losing you broke something in me that never healed. I don't know if I can do this, James said honestly. I don't know if I can risk you again. Risk believing this is real. Risk falling for you again just to watch you choose safety over me when things get hard. I understand, Mrs. Kim said, standing. Thank you for meeting me. For letting me explain. For not hating me even though you should. Wait, James said. She waited. I kept your letters too, James admitted. The ones you wrote before your parents found out. Before everything fell apart. Before you chose them. I kept them in my piano bench. Read them on bad days. Remembered what it felt like to be loved by you. Mrs. Kim sat back down. I never stopped loving you, she whispered. I chose wrong. But my heart never left you. I need time, James said. I need to think. To process. To figure out if I'm brave enough or stupid enough to believe in second chances. Take all the time you need, Mrs. Kim said. I've waited 25 years. I can wait longer. She left the coffee shop. Went home. Told Hannah everything. He didn't say no, Hannah observed. He didn't say yes, Mrs. Kim said. But he didn't say no, Hannah repeated. That's something. 3 days passed. Then 4. Mrs. Kim went back to her routine. Board meetings. Charity events. The perfect life she'd built on the foundation of choices she regretted. And then, on day 7, a package arrived. Small. Wrapped in brown paper. Inside was a ticket. The Blue Note. Thursday night. 8 p.m. And a note in handwriting she'd memorized 25 years ago. I'm playing the song I wrote for you. The one I never performed because it hurt too much. Come if you want. Stay away if you don't. But I need you to know it exists. That you existed in my life in a way that mattered. That some things don't have expiration dates. Even after 25 years. Mrs. Kim held the ticket and cried. Because second chances weren't guaranteed. But maybe, just maybe, they were possible. Sienna found out she was pregnant on a Wednesday morning in the bakery bathroom at 5 a.m. And her first thought was not joy or excitement, but pure terror. Because Sweet and Soul was exploding. 3 locations now. A wholesale program. A Michelin star somehow awarded to a bakery which everyone said was impossible, but Sienna had done anyway. They'd just signed a contract with Whole Foods. She was teaching baking classes to underprivileged kids twice a week. And now she was supposed to add a baby to all of that? She told no one. Not Marcus. Not Hannah. Not her grandmother who'd moved from San Diego 6 months ago and lived in the apartment upstairs, helping with recipe development and generally making Sienna's life infinitely better. She just kept working, kept baking, kept pretending that the nausea wasn't real and the exhaustion wasn't crushing and the fear wasn't suffocating. 2 weeks passed. The nausea got worse. She started keeping crackers in her apron, started making excuses to step outside for fresh air, started lying to Marcus about why she was too tired for dinner, for conversation, for anything except collapsing into bed. You're working too hard, Marcus said one night. The bakery can run without you there 80 hours a week. I'm fine, Sienna lied. You're not fine, Marcus said gently. You're exhausted. You've lost weight. You barely eat. Talk to me. I'm just stressed, Sienna said. The Whole Foods contract is huge. I want to get it right. Marcus didn't look convinced, but he didn't push. Just held her, kissed her forehead, told her he loved her. And Sienna felt like the worst wife in the world for not telling him the truth. 3 weeks in, she was at the flagship Brooklyn location during the Saturday brunch rush when the room started spinning. She grabbed the counter, steadied herself, took a breath. You good, boss? Andre asked. Andre, Hannah's boyfriend of 6 months. The tattoo artist who'd somehow become part of their family, who worked weekend shifts at the bakery because he loved Hannah and helping Sienna made Hannah happy. I'm fine, Sienna started to say. And then she was on the floor. She woke up to Andre's panicked face and Hannah's voice on the phone saying, Marcus, get to Brooklyn now. Sienna collapsed, and customers staring and everything being too bright and too loud and too much. I'm calling an ambulance, Andre said. No, Sienna managed. No hospitals. I'm fine. Just stood up too fast. You passed out, Andre said. That's not standing up too fast. Please, Sienna begged. Just help me to the office. I'll sit. I'll drink water. I'm fine. Andre looked at her like she'd lost her mind, but helped her to the back office anyway. And by the time Marcus burst through the door 7 minutes later, Sienna was sitting upright pretending everything was normal, even though nothing was normal. What happened? Marcus demanded. Low blood sugar, Sienna lied. Forgot to eat breakfast. I'm fine now. You're not fine, Marcus said, and his voice had an edge she'd never heard. You're lying to me. You have been for weeks. And I don't know why, but I need you to stop. I need you to tell me what's wrong. Sienna looked at her husband, at Andre hovering awkwardly in the doorway, at Hannah who'd arrived at some point and was watching with concerned eyes. And she broke. I'm pregnant, she said. The room went silent. What? Marcus breathed. I'm pregnant, Sienna repeated. About 7 weeks. I took 3 tests. All positive. I have an appointment next week to confirm, but I know I'm pregnant, and I'm terrified because the bakery is exploding and I don't know how to be a mother, and what if I'm terrible at it? What if I can't balance everything? What if I have to choose between my dream and our baby, and I resent everything? What if? Marcus kissed her, cut off her spiral with his mouth on hers, gentle and sure and full of everything words couldn't say. We're having a baby, he said when he pulled back. Yes, Sienna whispered. And you're terrified? Yes. Good, Marcus said. Me too. Let's be terrified together. You're not mad I didn't tell you? I'm not thrilled you kept it secret, Marcus admitted. But I understand. You're scared. You're processing. You're dealing with it the way you deal with everything, by working until you can't think. But Sienna, you don't have to do this alone. You've never had to do anything alone. Not since you said yes to the crazy man who proposed after knowing you for 2 months. Sienna laughed through tears. I said yes to forever. And forever includes babies, Marcus said. Scary, amazing, life-changing babies that we'll figure out together because that's what we do. We figure out impossible things together. Hannah cleared her throat from the doorway. So, I'm going to be an aunt. Yes, Sienna said. Hannah screamed. Actually screamed with joy. Hugged Sienna so hard it hurt. I'm calling Mom. She needs to know. And your grandma. Oh my God, your grandma is going to lose her mind. Wait, Sienna said. But Hannah was already dialing, and 30 seconds later Mrs. Kim was on speaker asking, What's wrong? Why are you calling? Is someone hurt? Sienna's pregnant, Hannah announced. Silence. Then, put her on. Sienna took the phone with shaking hands. Mrs. Kim, are you happy? Mrs. Kim interrupted. Are you happy, Sienna? Not scared. Not worried about the bakery, or the timing, or logistics. Right now, in this moment, knowing you're carrying my grandchild. Are you happy? Sienna thought about it. Really thought. And realized that underneath the terror and the nausea and the exhaustion was something else. Something bright and warm and impossibly precious. Yes, she admitted. I'm happy. Good, Mrs. Kim said. Then everything else we'll figure out. I'm coming over. Don't move. I'm bringing soup. She hung up. Sienna looked at Marcus. Your mother is bringing soup. My mother is happy, Marcus corrected. That's new. The appointment the following week confirmed what Sienna already knew. 7 weeks pregnant. Due in early December. But then the ultrasound tech went quiet. Frowned at the screen. Is something wrong? Sienna asked, terror flooding back. Not wrong, the tech said slowly. Just unexpected. Let me get the doctor. Sienna gripped Marcus's hand. Something's wrong. Oh God, something's wrong with the baby. It's okay, Marcus said, but he looked scared too. The doctor came in, looked at the screen, smiled. Congratulations, she said. You're having twins. The room tilted. What? Sienna breathed. Twins, the doctor repeated. 2 heartbeats. See here and here? Fraternal, looks like. Both measuring perfectly. Both healthy. Twins. Sienna started laughing. Couldn't stop. Laughing until she was crying. Until Marcus was crying too. Twins. Not one impossible thing. 2. We don't have room for twins, Sienna said. We live in a 1-bedroom apartment. We'll figure it out, Marcus said. We always do. But that night, lying in bed with Marcus's hand on her still flat stomach, Sienna let herself be terrified. Because twins meant everything doubled. The fear, the responsibility, the love, the chance to fail. And she didn't know if she was strong enough for all of it. Talk to me, Marcus said in the darkness. What if I can't do this? Sienna whispered. What if I'm a terrible mother? What if the bakery falls apart? What if I lose everything trying to have everything? Then we'll rebuild, Marcus said simply. Together. But Sienna, you're the strongest person I know. You built a bakery from nothing. You survived in a city that destroys people. You took a chance on a rich guy who stalked you at work and somehow made it work. You can do this. We can do this, Sienna corrected. We, Marcus agreed. Every impossible step. And in that moment, with her husband's hand on her stomach and 2 heartbeats growing inside her and terror and joy mixing until she couldn't tell them apart, Sienna let herself believe that maybe, just maybe, impossible things were what they did best. Hannah had been hiding Andre for 6 months, and she was running out of excuses for why she couldn't bring him to family dinners, why she was always busy on Sundays, why she smiled at her phone like it held secrets. The truth was simple. Andre was black, covered in tattoos, owned a shop in Bed-Stuy, made art on people's skin for a living. And Hannah knew exactly how her mother would react to the man who was nothing like what Mrs. Kim had planned for her daughter's life. You have to tell her eventually, Andre said. They were in his apartment above the tattoo shop, and Hannah was supposed to be at a book club, which was the lie she'd been using for 6 months. I know, Hannah said, but can eventually be later? Like, significantly later. Your brother married someone your mom didn't approve of, and it worked out, Andre pointed out. After mom almost destroyed them, Hannah countered. After months of fighting and tears and mom threatening to disown Marcus. I don't want to go through that. So what's your plan? Andre asked. Hide me forever? Never let your family know I exist? Hannah, I love you, but I'm not going to be your secret. I'm not ashamed of you, Hannah said quickly. I'm ashamed of her, of how I know she'll react, of the things she'll say that I can't unhear, of watching her become the villain again just when she's finally learning to be human. Andre pulled her close. I'm not asking you to choose between me and your family. I'm just asking you to choose me publicly, to let me be part of your life in the daylight instead of just the shadows. That's not unfair. Hannah knew he was right. She'd known for months. But knowing and doing were different things. And then Sienna's pregnancy announcement happened, and Mrs. Kim came to Sunday dinner for the first time in months, and Andre texted asking if Hannah wanted to grab dinner, and Hannah made the split-second decision to bring him to Sunday dinner. Introduce him to her mother. Rip off the Band-Aid. She texted Marcus. I'm bringing someone to dinner. Don't react. Just support me. Marcus replied immediately. Oh no. Who? Hannah. You'll see. She picked up Andre from his shop. He dressed carefully. Nice jeans. Button-down shirt that covered most of his tattoos. Hair neat. Looking as appropriate as possible while still being himself. You sure about this? Andre asked. No, Hannah admitted. But I'm doing it anyway. They arrived at Marcus and Sienna's apartment at 6:15 p.m. Hannah's hands were shaking as she knocked. Sienna answered. Saw Andre. Eyes went wide. Hannah, I know, Hannah said. Where's Mom? Kitchen. Hannah, maybe, but Hannah was already walking in, Andre's hand in hers, and Marcus saw them and went pale, and Mrs. Kim turned from the stove and froze. Mom, Hannah said, and her voice only shook a little. This is Andre, my boyfriend. Andre, this is my mother, Mrs. Kim. Andre extended his hand. It's nice to finally meet you, Mrs. Kim. Hannah's told me so much about you. Mrs. Kim didn't take his hand, just stared. At Andre, at Hannah, at their joined hands. Hannah, she said quietly. Can I speak to you? Alone? No, Hannah said. Anything you need to say, you can say in front of Andre. Fine, Mrs. Kim said, and her voice went cold. What is this? What are you doing? I'm introducing you to the man I love, Hannah said. The man I've been seeing for 6 months. The man who makes me happier than I've ever been. The man I want you to know. 6 months, Mrs. Kim repeated. You've been lying to me for 6 months. I've been protecting myself, Hannah corrected. There's a difference. From what? From this, Hannah said, gesturing at her mother's expression. From the judgment. From you deciding he's not good enough before you even know him. From you trying to destroy something good because it doesn't fit your plan for my life. I don't have a plan for your life, Mrs. Kim said. I just want you to be happy, to be with someone appropriate. There's that word, Hannah said. Appropriate. The same word your parents used about James. The same word you used about Sienna. When does appropriate stop meaning someone you approve of and start meaning someone who makes me happy? This is different. How? Hannah challenged. Because he's black? Because he's a tattoo artist? Because he doesn't have a trust fund or a degree from an Ivy League school? Tell me, Mom, how is this different from you and James? From Marcus and Sienna? How is this anything other than you repeating the same pattern that destroyed your own happiness? Mrs. Kim's face went white. You don't know what you're talking about. I know you're meeting with James, Hannah said quietly. I know you're trying for a second chance. I know you're finally choosing love over expectations. So why can't I do the same? The room went completely silent. Marcus and Sienna were frozen. Andre was watching everything with careful eyes. And Mrs. Kim looked like she'd been slapped. Get out, she finally said. What? Hannah breathed. Get out, Mrs. Kim repeated. Both of you. I don't want to see this. I don't want to watch you make the same mistakes I made. I don't want to watch you throw away your future for someone who what? Andre interrupted, and his voice was quiet but firm. Someone who loves your daughter? Someone who respects her? Someone who shows up every single day and makes her laugh and supports her dreams? I'm not rich, Mrs. Kim. I didn't go to Harvard. I make art on people's skin for a living. But I love Hannah. I'd do anything for her. And I'm not going anywhere just because you think I'm not good enough. You don't understand our world, Mrs. Kim said. No, Andre agreed. But I understand your daughter. And in my experience, that matters more. Mom, Marcus interjected. You need to stop. You need to remember what you just went through with me and Sienna. What you learned. How choosing control over love almost cost you your son. Don't make the same mistake twice. This is different, Mrs. Kim insisted. It's not, Sienna said gently. I was the waitress you thought wasn't good enough. Andre is the tattoo artist. Same story. Different person. You need to decide right now if you learned anything from almost losing Marcus, or if you're going to repeat history with Hannah. Mrs. Kim looked around the room. At her children. At the people they loved. At the life that was nothing like what she'd planned, but was real and messy and full of love anyway. I need time, she finally said. You don't have time, Hannah said. Because I'm leaving. I'm walking out that door with Andre, and I'm choosing him. And you get to decide if you're part of my life or not. But I'm done hiding. I'm done being ashamed. I'm done letting your fear control my choices. She walked toward the door. Andre followed. Hannah, Mrs. Kim called. Hannah stopped. I love you, Mrs. Kim said. That's not enough, Hannah said quietly. Love without acceptance is just control wearing a prettier face. She left, and Mrs. Kim stood in Marcus and Sienna's kitchen, watching history repeat itself, and realized she had a choice to make. Accept her daughter's happiness or lose her daughter entirely. The same choice her parents had given her 25 years ago. The same choice she'd gotten wrong. She had exactly no time to figure out if she was brave enough to get it right this time. Mrs. Kim went to the Blue Note that Thursday night. Wore the same black dress. Sat at the same table. Watched James walk onto the stage and searched the crowd until he found her. He nodded once. Sat at the piano. And started to play. The song was beautiful. Haunting. Full of everything words couldn't say. Longing and regret and hope and sorrow all woven together in notes that made grown men cry and women reach for their partners' hands. When it ended, the room was silent. Then thunderous applause. James stood, bowed, looked at Mrs. Kim, left the stage. She waited. Didn't know if he'd come to her or disappear again. Didn't know if this was goodbye or hello or something in between. He sat down at her table 5 minutes later. That was the song, he said. The one I wrote for you 30 years ago. The one I've never performed because it hurt too much. The one I titled February Morning because that's when we met. February morning. Coffee shop. You ordered tea. Mrs. Kim couldn't speak. I wrote it 6 months after you chose them over me. James continued. Wrote it in Chicago in a shitty apartment that smelled like someone else's cigarettes. Wrote it while crying like a fucking child. Wrote it and hated it and loved it and never played it for anyone because it was too real, too raw, too much of my heart on display for strangers to hear. It's beautiful, Mrs. Kim whispered. It's you, James corrected. Every note, every measure. That's what loving you felt like. That's what losing you felt like. That's what waiting for you felt like. That's what giving up on you felt like. All of it. 30 years of feeling compressed into 4 minutes of music. James, I need you to understand something, James interrupted. I spent 25 years being angry, being hurt, being broken, building walls so high no one could climb them, marrying someone I liked but didn't love because I couldn't risk loving again, losing my daughter and wondering if that was punishment for settling, moving back to New York and trying to remember what happy felt like. And then you walked into the Blue Note and destroyed everything, destroyed my walls. My safe distance. My carefully maintained, I'm over it. You destroyed all of it in 5 seconds. I'm sorry, I'm not done, James said. Because here's the thing. I don't know if I can trust you. I don't know if you're brave enough now after being a coward then. I don't know if you'll choose me when things get hard, when your family judges, when your world pressures you. I don't know if second chances are real or just fantasy, but I know I'm tired. Tired of being angry. Tired of being alone. Tired of pretending I don't still love you after 25 fucking years of trying not to. Mrs. Kim's breath caught. You still love me? Unfortunately, James said. So here's what I need. I need you to choose. Not tomorrow. Not next week. Right now. I need you to choose me or walk away. Because I can't do this halfway. I can't be your secret or your midlife crisis or your experiment. I need to be your person. The one you choose over everything else. Over your family's judgment. Over your social circle's disapproval. Over your perfect life. I need to be your first choice, not your backup plan 25 years later. I choose you, Mrs. Kim said immediately. Just like that. James asked. Just like that, Mrs. Kim confirmed. I spent 25 years choosing wrong. I'm done. I choose you. I choose us. I choose love over fear. Your daughter is making her own choices, Mrs. Kim said. Hannah. She brought her boyfriend to dinner tonight. He's black. A tattoo artist. Everything I was afraid of. Everything inappropriate. And I told her to leave. James went still. You what? I told her to leave, Mrs. Kim repeated. And she did. She chose him. She walked out. She chose love over my approval. And Marcus looked at me like I'd learned nothing. Like I was repeating history. Like I'd become my parents. You have, James said quietly. I know, Mrs. Kim said. And sitting here, listening to you play that song, hearing how much you've carried for 25 years, realizing that I've spent 2 decades making my children pay for my own regrets. I can't do it anymore, James. I can't be that person anymore. What are you saying? I'm saying I choose you, Mrs. Kim said. But more than that, I choose differently. I choose to break the cycle. I choose to let my daughter love who she loves. I choose to be brave instead of afraid. I choose to build something real instead of something appropriate. I choose, James kissed her, cut off her words with his mouth, kissed her like they were 25 again, like time didn't exist, like nothing mattered except this moment. They broke apart breathing hard. I need you to understand something, James said. I'm not rich. I don't fit in your world. I will embarrass you at country clubs and charity galas. I will say the wrong thing to your friends. I will never be appropriate. Good, Mrs. Kim said. Appropriate is overrated. Appropriate is what destroyed us. Appropriate is a cage. I'm done with cages. What about your family? Marcus will be thrilled, Mrs. Kim said. Hannah will forgive me if I fix this. The rest of them can adjust or leave. I'm 56 years old, James. I'm done living for other people's expectations. You really mean this, James said. I really mean this, Mrs. Kim confirmed. So what do we do now? Now, James said, we start over. We do it right this time. We build something real. We face the judgment together. We choose each other every single day. We don't run when it gets hard. We don't let fear win. We do the thing we should have done 30 years ago. What's that? Mrs. Kim asked. We fight for it, James said. We fight for us. No matter what it costs. Mrs. Kim thought about her parents. About the life they'd planned for her. About 30 years of appropriate and safe and empty. About her children choosing differently. About Hannah walking out that door. About the choice she had to make right now. Okay, she said. Let's fight. And somewhere in Brooklyn, Hannah was crying in Andre's arms. And Marcus was calling his sister trying to fix things. And Sienna was feeling 2 heartbeats inside her and wondering if love was always this complicated or if their family was just spectacularly bad at simple. But in the Blue Note, Mrs. Kim took James's hand and walked out into the New York night. And for the first time in 25 years, she chose exactly what she wanted. Consequences be damned. Sienna went into labor 3 weeks early on the busiest Saturday in Sweet and Soul's history. Because of course she did. I'm fine, she told Marcus for the 17th time. It's just Braxton Hicks. False contractions. The doctor said it's normal. That was an hour ago, Marcus said. They're getting closer. I'm fine, Sienna insisted, frosting a wedding cake that was due in 4 hours. I can't leave. This is Mrs. Morrison's daughter's wedding. I promised. Another contraction hit. Sienna gripped the counter, breathed through it, went back to frosting like nothing happened. Andre appeared in the kitchen doorway. Boss, you look like you're dying. I'm fine, Sienna said through gritted teeth. She's in labor, Marcus said. She won't admit it. I'm not. Another contraction. Stronger. Sienna's water broke. Right there. In the kitchen. All over the floor. Okay, Sienna admitted. Maybe I'm in labor. The kitchen erupted into chaos. Staff running. Andre calling an ambulance. Marcus trying not to panic. And Sienna sitting on the floor in a puddle of amniotic fluid, laughing hysterically. This is not how I wanted this to go, she managed between contractions. This is exactly how I should have known this would go, Marcus said. Nothing with us is ever normal. The ambulance arrived. But the contractions were coming fast now. Too fast. We're not going to make it, the paramedic said. She's going to deliver here. Here. Marcus nearly shouted. In the bakery? Happens more often than you'd think, the paramedic said cheerfully. They moved Sienna to the office. Cleared everything. Made space. And Sienna realized with absolute horror that she was going to give birth in her bakery, surrounded by staff and customers, and the smell of fresh bread. Hannah burst through the door at some point. Mom's on her way. And James. And your grandma. Everyone's coming. Everyone. Sienna gasped. Can everyone not come to watch me give birth? Too late, Hannah said. Mom's bringing towels. 20 minutes later, Mrs. Kim arrived with James carrying actual hospital-grade towels because of course she'd called in favors. Sienna's grandmother arrived with soup because she believed soup fixed everything. And Sienna was in full labor surrounded by her entire family in the office of her bakery, while a wedding was happening in the front, and orders were piling up, and everything was chaos. I can't do this, Sienna gasped during a contraction. Yes, you can, Marcus said. He was holding her hand. Had been for the last hour. Was probably going to lose circulation soon, but didn't care. You can do anything. I'm scared, Sienna admitted. Me too, Marcus said. But we're doing it anyway. The first baby came at 3:47 p.m. A girl. Screaming and perfect and impossible. One down, the paramedic said cheerfully. One to go. There's another one. Sienna shouted. Twins, Marcus reminded her gently. We talked about this. I changed my mind, Sienna said. Too late, the paramedic said. The second baby came 17 minutes later. A boy. Quieter. Calmer. Just as perfect. And Sienna lay on the floor of her bakery office holding two impossible things. And Marcus was crying. And Mrs. Kim was crying. And James was crying. And everyone was crying except the babies who were just staring around like they'd planned this chaos all along. What are their names? Hannah asked. Sienna and Marcus looked at each other. Ruby, Sienna said, looking at her daughter. After my grandmother. And Kai, Marcus said, looking at his son. Means ocean in Korean. Because they're both going to be stronger than we can imagine. Mrs. Morrison's wedding cake got delivered 2 hours late, but was perfect. Sweet and Soul stayed open somehow. The staff rallied. Andre managed the front. Hannah coordinated everything. Mrs. Kim called in favors and got photographers because my grandchildren were born in a bakery, and that's going to be a story we tell forever. By midnight, everyone was at the hospital. Sienna in a room with Marcus beside her, holding Ruby while Sienna nursed Kai. Hannah and Andre in the corner, talking quietly. Mrs. Kim and James in the hallway, James's arm around her shoulders. Sienna's grandmother cooking something in the family waiting area because rules meant nothing when babies were born. We did it, Sienna said quietly. We made 2 whole humans. You did it, Marcus corrected. I just held your hand and tried not to pass out. You were perfect, Sienna said. You coached me through every contraction. You told me I was strong when I felt weak. You believed I could do it when I wanted to give up. You were perfect. We're parents, Marcus said, and wonder filled his voice. We're responsible for 2 whole humans. Terrifying, Sienna agreed. Completely, Marcus said. I love you, Sienna said. I love you more than everything. And in that moment, with 2 babies sleeping in Marcus's hand in hers, and their entire weird blended family in the hospital making chaos in the waiting room, Sienna realized that impossible things weren't one-time occurrences. They were daily. Every day choosing love. Every day showing up. Every day being brave enough to believe in things that logic said couldn't work. 3 months later, Sweet and Soul had 4 locations. The babies were healthy. Marcus had learned to change diapers. Badly, but trying. Mrs. Kim and James were officially together and facing the social judgment with middle fingers raised. Hannah and Andre got engaged. And one random Sunday, they all gathered for dinner at Marcus and Sienna's new brownstone in Park Slope that they'd bought for the space and filled with mismatched furniture and love. James played piano. The babies slept in pack and plays. Hannah showed off her ring. Andre told stories that made everyone laugh. Sienna's grandmother made her famous peach cobbler. And Mrs. Kim, sitting at a table with her ex-lover, her children, their unsuitable partners, and her grandchildren, realized something profound. This was better. This chaos. This mess. This complete demolition of every plan she'd ever made. This was better than appropriate. Better than safe. Better than perfect. This was real. And somewhere in Manhattan, in a storage unit in Queens, a box of old letters sat unopened. Evidence of a love that took 30 years to get right. Proof that second chances existed. Reminder that choosing differently was always an option. But that box didn't matter anymore. Because the love was here. Now. In a brownstone in Brooklyn. At a table surrounded by impossible people. Choosing each other every single day. And that's how the story ends. Not with a waitress stealing a mafia boss's heart. But with a family built on brave choices. With love that crossed lines that were never meant to be crossed. With mothers learning from daughters. With second chances proving worth the wait. With babies born in bakeries and wedding cakes delivered late and grandmothers making soup at midnight. With inappropriate love becoming exactly right. If this story destroyed you, hit that like button. Subscribe for more romance that proves family is what you choose. Drop a comment telling me your favorite moment. Was it Mrs. Kim finally choosing James, Hannah standing up to her mother, Sienna giving birth in her bakery, or that final family dinner showing love wins? And let me know what story you want next. Should we explore Hannah and Andre's wedding, or follow Ruby and Kai growing up in this chaotic, beautiful family? You decide. Thanks for being here, and remember, sometimes the bravest thing you can do is choose love over appropriate. Sometimes the family you build is better than the family you planned. Sometimes second chances are worth 30 years of waiting. Real love doesn't give up. See you in the next one.